What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome to more C4, home of all my Eagles-related content for the 2022-2023 season. And we are dropping our post-game grades live reaction. Game literally just finished as the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Minnesota Vikings 24-7. I wish I could have got the preview video for this matchup up on the channel. Just stuff. Had a lot of nonsense going on with franchise mode today. Couldn't get it out over the weekend. But I would have roughly said what happened needed to happen. We needed to see Darius Slay shut down Justin Jefferson. I feel like if we take away Justin Jefferson and kind of made the Minnesota Vikings have to beat us every other way, using Adam Thielen, Irv Smith, having to run the ball with Dalvin Cook, like that is a very manageable game for a Jonathan Gannon defense. It didn't look super hot coming out of week one. I know a lot of people were probably a little bit more critical on Jonathan Gannon defense last week than I personally was. I just kept saying in my review last game that it was like, it just felt weird. It didn't feel like it was a brutal game plan against the Detroit Lions. Maybe blitzing would have been nice, but just like super soft vanilla defense. Felt like we're playing like a preseason defense to close that Lions game out last week. And that's why the Lions were able to get back into that game. And then we found out this week on the case of the Detroit Lions that the Lions are a legit team. They absolutely work the Commanders, and the Commanders have a pretty good defense, all things considered. So, maybe last week, now that we've seen how we played this week, some people were maybe a little too harsh on Jonathan Gannon. Me personally, again, it wasn't a good game plan last week, right? But I wasn't one of the people screaming at the top of my lungs that we got to ship him out of town just quite yet. And I think he completely redeemed himself in a lot of those people's eyes with this performance. I thought it was a stellar game. I think a big factor before I even go through all the player grades, you just got to come out and say it. Darius Slay with as good of a game as I've ever seen out of a corner. He could have had 5-6 picks in this game, going up against arguably the best, if not at minimum, the hottest wide receiver in the NFL right now, Justin Jefferson. I mean, it felt like the Minnesota Vikings game plan offensively for Kirk Cousins was just throw the ball to Justin Jefferson and let him make plays. And Justin Jefferson is the capable and style of wide receiver that he does that for you. Just get him the ball. He'll out-jump the other guy. He'll embarrass the DB. And Slay wasn't having it today, man. What a game from Darius. Like, as good of a game. Probably the best game Darius Slay has had, definitely with Philly. But, like, you could argue that might be, like, the best game he's ever had. And I say that very one-sidedly because I couldn't recall. There's probably someone like, oh, man, in Detroit he had 3 interception games or something crazy like that. But I think given the production, he had 5 PBUs, 2 picks. And you could argue, at minimum, I think he should have had one more interception. He had one really bad drop that I was surprised he wasn't able to bring in. But I think just his stat line, if he was going up against nobody, if we're playing the Jets, that's a little disrespectful. Garrett Wilson absolutely crushed it this week. We'll say, what team is the worst one? The Bears. Really against the Bears, you're like, well, Darius Slay locked down Darnell Mooney or something like that, all right? Like, that's one thing. And Darius Slay put up a game like this. The fact that he did this up against this guy makes it that much more incredible. So outstanding from Big Play Slay. Exactly. I mean, hey, it feels like Philadelphia made him a team captain this year. It seems like it meant a lot to him. I watched. He's been on a lot of podcasts. I watched. He was on The Pivot, which was really good, really eye-opening. And he talked about like how much it meant to him to be awarded a team captain. And he's definitely elevated his game. Had a good first week, and this week ridiculous. Like this is one of those things you see. Like when you look at PFF scores, like they lowballed Mahomes. Like Lamar got like below a 70 PFF, and it's like if they're having like perfect games where they're not scoring. Like it's gonna be very interesting to see what those PFF nerds give Darius Slay. Like I watched give Slay like, well, he's 71. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's not close to a 99 in the PFF ranking scoring system or whatever, I'll just throw it out. Let's just use it for linemen. Let's just agree that we'll use it for lineman rankings, and that's about it. Let's go through our player grades, and I'll just give my closing thoughts. I think first because we're going to obviously just focus on the Eagles, Kirk Cousins was terrible. I think there was definitely an element of like the Philadelphia Eagles defense came to play, and we were forcing Kirk Cousins into some very bad decisions. But Kirk Cousins also was terrible. Their game plan was terrible. The Vikings' defensive game plan was absolutely, I don't know what it was. They're literally like, we're just going to give Jalen Hurts a lot of easy throws and not really blitz him. Really surprising on that one. I kind of feel like I almost feel like the Vikings gave Jalen Hurts the kind of respect that teams give Mahomes and like Josh Allen, which I mean, that bodes well if Jalen Hurts is starting to get that reputation. But like when you play against Patrick Mahomes, when you play against Josh Allen, it almost seems like right now the game plan to beat that is don't blitz, but make them have to take like the easy throws, right? Like the quarterbacks like Mahomes, quarterback like Josh Allen. If as long as you just make them have to play passively, that's a lot of success. That's what we saw last year, in particular with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like Mahomes struggled last year because teams are just like, hey, look, you can have 5-10 yards. We get that, but we're gonna take away the deep ball. We're gonna take away Tyreek Hill. And I almost feel like that's what the Vikings game plan was today for Jalen Hurts. And luckily, Jalen Hurts cut them up, and that's exactly what you need to see, man. This game, honestly, for an Eagle fan, not to rip open a wound that still might not have healed, reminds me of the Eagles last year against the Raiders. Remember how easy in that game we just made it for Derek Carr? Like, Derek Carr had like 5-10-yard passes open every single throw, it felt like. And we just didn't change for 4 quarters. Felt like this was a little bit of that on the Vikings department there, it was bad. But focusing on the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts went 26 of 31, 333 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and that interception, 100% not on him. Not even going to count that as an interception. You did see it. Basically just like threw a screen pass to Kenny Gainwell, and Kenny Gainwell just like didn't catch it off his helmet, and it didn't even look like it was like that overly. It wasn't like a bad throw from Hurts. It wasn't a high throw, overly high throw from Jalen Hurts. It was an ugly play, but I don't think you're really gonna knock anything for Jalen Hurts for that interception. He also was able to go for 57 yards on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns, and one of those was an absolute highlight reel play. A+. I don't know if this is. I'm trying to think. When was the last time I would have like given Jalen, like maybe the Saints game last year, or maybe the shootout they had with Arizona. But this might be Jalen Hurts' finest performance. Now, I would have loved to see him in the fourth quarter kind of close that one out. And, even though the interception is not on him, it was just a sloppy play that shouldn't have happened. A+. Outstanding game from Jalen Hurts. And if he keeps playing like this, especially given the strength of the Eagles' schedule coming up, I don't, it's too soon. It's Philly. We know Philly does have a tendency to just play down to their competition. You see it every year in the NFC East. But with the way that if Jalen keeps playing like this, we're going to win a lot of football games. Let's just say that. And it's going to be on Jalen to prove that this game's not a flash in the pan. This is the consistency. This is the new level that he can bring week in, week out. And if he does, again, I saw a couple tweets. I do feel like I've stated enough times that it's not like I get added a whole lot when Jalen Hurts has a good game. But I said that I just think Jalen Hurts is really close to his ceiling. And and that therefore means that I don't think he's necessarily going to be a franchise quarterback. But I've also, every time I've ever said anything like that about Jalen Hurts, I said, I hope and pray I'm wrong. I hope and pray I look like an absolute idiot, because that means Jalen Hurts is actually the answer. That means Philly has a nice quarterback. And that, I'm not, nice. Right now, Philly has a nice quarterback. Because if Jalen Hurts can put games like this, you're going to beat a lot of teams in the NFL. Let's see where we're at. What do we got? We got Jacksonville, Washington, next 2 games. Let's see where we're at after 4 or 5 games before we start throwing that F word around with Jalen Hurts. But I hope, not a religious person, hope and pray that I'm absolutely wrong about Jalen Hurts. And then, it's like one of those things too. It's like, you got me? I have some takes that might not age well. And the only reason why is because now my team's winning a lot. Like, it's absolutely something that I personally can concede, and I almost want it to happen. I don't even almost want it to happen. I for sure want to have takes that age terribly about Jalen Hurts, because A, I don't care. I don't get the Skip and Shannon bucks talk about sports, but B, my team's awesome, and I'm happy. I couldn't care less, and it's not like I've had unwarranted hate or doubts or reasons to potentially doubt Jalen Hurts being able to elevate his game. He's not looked great at certain points. It's just he busted his ass this offseason, and it's they might have come off as sarcastic tweets that I've fired off anytime we saw something positive about Jalen Hurts working out this year. But absolutely, you wouldn't take a guy that's the leader, that has the kind of mentality that Jalen Hurts has, and just assume that, no, this guy doesn't have what it takes to develop his game. No, this guy doesn't have what it takes to develop. You know what I'm saying? It's just, he's been very good through 2 games, and let's see these performances continue to stack up. Let's see the consistency that he can. This is the new norm. This is the new play. He's not just playing like a hot quarterback. This is now the floor and normal of Jalen Hurts' play for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, A+ for him today. Run game, Miles Sanders led the room there. 17 carries, 80 yards. Hurts had the 2 touchdowns, 19 yards for Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell. Pretty much gifting the Vikings, unfortunately, an interception. I mean, Miles Sanders ran hard. Miles Sanders absolutely looks like a guy that wants to get paid, be it by the Philadelphia Eagles or somewhere else. And that's what you need. You couldn't ask for something better like that for Philly. Having a hungry Miles Sanders, getting a lot of yards after contact as well for a guy that's known more as a shiftier guy. He's been a tough runner the first 2 weeks of this season. On the receiving end, Dallas Goedert, 5 catches, 82 yards. We had 7 for 80 for Devontae Smith. Quez, 69 yards, had the big old touchdown, 53 yards, which was awesome. A.J. Brown, 5 catches, 69 yards. A couple other just little shots there. But, I mean, the big worry, I suppose, from that Week 1 performance is that everything went to A.J. Brown. And we were just like, well, Devontae Smith had 0 catches. And Quez Watkins, who's going to be your shot player, didn't really have a whole lot of looks last week at all. And you're almost like, not worried. You know, are you going to complain that A.J. Brown's debut went for 155 yards? It's the first thing you're going to say when you look at that. Why didn't Devontae do anything? Like, sometimes you just got to kind of feed the hot hand. And we saw here today, we got other guys. If they are going to commit, and that's not a bad stat line for A.J. Brown, but if you're going to see A.J. Brown go for $155 and be like, we got a double team. We're not going to let him take the game over. We're not going to let him, we're going to give him the amount of attention that you give this guy, right? When you give this guy all the attention, you kind of like dare the other guys to make plays. And that's what happened here today. Quez Watkins could make plays. Devontae Smith made some goddamn plays. Devontae Smith, that dude. Dallas Goedert, outstanding game for him. And he probably should have even had another one. There was a drop. I actually think the drop was more, I think it was Cameron Bynum, the safety on the Vikings, made a really good play, more so than it was like a bad Dallas Goedert drop. But he could have brought that in. That might have put Dallas over 100 yards on the day. So very good seeing this type of balance where it's like, all right, A.J. Brown's going to get his some weeks, but if they take it away, the other team scheme and prioritize taking away A.J. Brown, we got other guys. And we know that Devontae Smith is really, really talented. We know Dallas Goedert is a fringe top 5 tight end in the NFL. We know Quez is one of the most underrated deep threats in the NFL. And it's good to just see that also can happen. Like, it's not just like we just assume that it can happen. We saw A.J. Brown have a dominant game. We're good to know that can happen. Now it's good to know that if teams want to try to take away A.J. Brown, we have other guys that are just like, what are you going to do? How do you stop A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith? Got to be, in terms of true talent, like a top 10 wide receiver core in the NFL right now, what we're rocking with in Philadelphia. You just don't have a lot of teams that can match up against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in today's NFL. Look at for the running backs here, Miles Sanders throwing out some grades. I'll give Miles Sanders, he'll get a B+. And on the wide receiver room, I'm even trying to think, like, was there any bad drops, any really bad routes? Like, outside of Kenny Gainwell's, like, little interception thing, which was bad. You know what, that actually will hurt. I'll give the room an A overall. Everyone will kind of get an A. And the only reason it's not getting an A+ is Kenny G there, unfortunately. Well, just special teams, because it's in the middle. We got to give a shout out to the punter. I know Sipos is the kind of guy that, he had 2 gongs. It's just cut off here. Let's see how can I fix this? He had 2 gongs, which is great, but he's kind of been like a lot of Eagles beat reporter stuff. Like, we got to bring in a new punter, competition with the punter. He saved a touch on the blocked field goal. He ran his ass down. I don't know. I assume he's like a rugby player that played rugby at some point. Made a great tackle on the guy that was returning. Like, he was gone. The guy that was returning the block kick was going to get a touchdown. Sipos makes the tackle, ends up being an interception for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not going to say that's play of the game because we had some other really good plays, but I was like, all right, Sipos got him a little bit of leeway for how much we want to roast the punter. And 2 gongs, I'll take that, 2 gongs. Jake Elliott, obviously missing the field. The special teams unit generally wasn't great today. Remember when we used to have great special teams back with like Darren Sproles and stuff? Something that maybe we need to get back to. But let's take a look here at the defense. TJ Edwards, 17 tackles. I had a couple pass breakups across the middle. Great. Vontae Mattis going for 12 tackles, had an interception. I thought Epps laid a couple really, really big hits. Had a massive shot on Irv Smith that I thought actually might have got flagged. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Kaiser White making a lot of plays around the football. Both those guys have firmly integrated themselves into the defense. Josh Sweat had a sack. 3 TFLs. Who's active? I thought Fletch had a pretty good game. Fletch had a pretty bad game against Detroit. Definitely bounced back here. Hassan Riddick, how about we just stop dropping him back in coverage? Like, there was one play that he dropped back into coverage against Munt or something, got a first down. And they had him on Justin Jefferson. What are we doing here? I thought he got pressure a couple times. It'll be something that you want to go look at more of the all 22 kind of breakdown to see just what kind of game he truly had. I thought it was an okay game. Couple pressures. I know he had a pressure on a third down stop. James Bradbury, you just assume that, that's why Adam Thielen did nothing. James Bradbury was locking him up, had a couple nice plays. And really, Zach McPherson almost had an interception right at the end of the game on Adam Thielen, which looked pretty nice. Won the NFC offensive, what was it? It wasn't rookie. He was special teams player of the week. Zach McPherson, shout out to him. But to wrap it up, man, on the defense and on this, man, Darius Slay, A++. This is getting an A+. Jonathan Gannon, Darius Slay, game ball going to Darius Slay. That is, like, unbiasedly one of the best corner performances I've ever seen in my life. And even though, we want to give Jalen Hurts his flowers, this was Darius Slay's game. Unbelievable performance. Like, I'll tell you right now, and I hope it never happens, but, like, Darius Slay had the bad game against DK and the bad game against Devontae Adams 2 years ago it was. With this performance, like, it's like we owe him one. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Slay has a bad game, like, he gets one now. If he has, I'm hoping he doesn't. I hope he has an all-pro type year. But with this performance, like, I'll keep this one in the bank so that if he does have a rough game at some point this season, you'd be like, well, remember that Vikings game? We'll break even. We're not going to be too critical on him here. That's how good of a game this was. Absolutely outstanding. A+ for the defense. Overall, what a game for the Eagles. If I still, you don't want to write off the Vikings out there. I think the Vikings are going to be a team that's going to be in the playoff line all season long. It was a bad week. Kirk Cousins couldn't get it going, didn't help him. I thought the just outcoached by the Philadelphia Eagles for sure. But the Vikings are a lot better than this. And I think when you look at this for the Philadelphia Eagles, we've gone up against two teams and handled, for the most part, two teams that are going to be really tough in the NFC this year, in the Vikings and the Detroit. Like, the Vikings and Lions can beat a lot of teams in the NFL right now. And you would argue both those teams are probably closer to top 15 teams if you're ranking all of them in the NFL. It might be tough to see right now for the Minnesota Vikings after this performance, but I think generally speaking, the Vikings, they can beat up on a lot of not great teams, and that there will put them right in the playoff hunt. 8-9 wins, 10 wins potentially, but what a victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. Build off this, we got Carson Wentz and the Commanders. I don't know who's home or away. I'll get a preview for sure out on that matchup, but Jalen Hurts, congratulations, take a bow. Darius Slay, once in a goddamn lifetime tight corner performance. What do you guys think about this game? Let me know in the comment section below. I got to go to bed. But Dad, I'm a father of two here. It's 1 a.m. What am I doing? All right. Thank you guys very much for watching. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for so much of the support here on the More C4 channel. Lots more Eagles content coming soon. I am, at some point, I'm gonna try to get at least once this season, and hopefully it's more than once. But we'll try to live stream during an Eagles game. I'll put the time up and the score up, and we'll just chill and watch one of those Eagles games. That is something that I want to bring to this channel. So hopefully we get that in, because I really want to do that. I could have done it tonight. I was just chilling with the lady. So that is this. This is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and go Birds.